Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of BLS 40 Show and Tell with Chau Tran. Chau, good to have you back, man.
Good to be back. I mean, I'm here always.
Always. It's like, I think 20% of the time or something, maybe more.
Almost, I guess, around around that. I don't know. I know
It's
it's a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah, always welcome. Always good to have you here. And it always saves me doing the introduction, which is nice. People can just watch the first episode, which you definitely should, but that's another thing. So BLS 40, it's a magic number. It's a round number. Let's not make it too magic. Actually, 42 is a more interesting number. 50, we need to do something with 50 because it's like a big. But then I'm not sure what you think. I started with zero because you start counting with zero, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if I should do something on 49 or on 50 to celebrate it, but I don't know. What do you think?
49 sounds like a good number to me. It sounds so random, but
Yeah, celebrate the 50th episode of 49. And look, we have one other frequent here, Abel de la Fuente. Good to see you go. Good to see you both again. Well, welcome back, Abel. Today, uh, Chow told me this is going to be short episodes, and I totally directly thought about Rick and Morty, like, hey, 20-minute adventure, just go in and out. I do have a hard stop in 2 hours, so we can we can fill it up like 2 hours from now. But I think we just dive right into it. And look at this, we have Brendan Roberts here. Brendan, good to have you, man. Um, yeah, we're gonna talk about something near and dear to Brendan's heart, which is NGRX and
Mhm.
specific. Are you gonna say the word? I'm not sure if I should say the word. It's boilerplate. It's the thing that I hope Brendan sticks. But no, the thing that's often criticized with on NGRX is that you have to write a lot of code to get stuff working, and then yeah, Chow, maybe you can take over what the solution is, how it came to be, because
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Sure.
really don't have a lot of information about this project. Take it away.
Yeah. Yep. So you so Bram, you probably know Ngrx, right? And even before like the class-based APIs, right? And now we have the function-based API, which is like the create action, create selector, create reducer, and stuff like that. So Ngrx like has those concepts that you're gonna have to follow through. I mean, you don't have to break them into separate files, but it is good practice to break them into separate files, and you have pretty much a lot of control over what you want to, for your actions. Some people call it events, to follow like good action hygiene and stuff like that. But most of the time, like when people start out with Ngrx or when people want to, like they have like a very similar pattern between different different part of the states or feature states, it tends to get very repetitive.
Right.
And like I know we have like schematics for it. People in projects create their own custom schematics to cover the Ngrx generations and stuff like that. Then so that's Ngrx. Um, then on the React side of things, not React specifically, but on the Redux side of things, there's a project called Redux Toolkit.
Right.
And Redux Toolkit, they have an API called Ngrx-Slice. So they define a feature state as a slice of the global state. So if you think of the global state like a cake, then a slice of state is what a feature should be.
Yeah.
So they have a create slice API, and that slice will manage, or I mean, you manage the whole slice of your state inside of that create slice function. And you only have one center state to do that. It's going to manage the actions. Selectors is not going to, but the Ngrx version will have the selectors as well, and it will manage the reducers as well for you.
Right.
So when I work in React, I use that Redux Toolkit Ngrx-Slice API, and I love it because all of my stuff is there in the state in that one file, and everything is centralized. So I want to bring it over to Ngrx with the help of the TypeScript 4.1 literal template type.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saw a lot about it. Never really used it myself, but it seems super interesting if you're building libraries.
So I mean, disclaimer: you have to understand and you have to know Ngrx before you want to use this library, or what I call Ngrx-Slice. You have to understand it, and it is opinionated. So it provides you very specific pattern, very specific property names and stuff, like very specific returns values.
Right.
So it is opinionated. So you're gonna have to know Ngrx and know what you want to be able to figure out the trade-off between just use Ngrx as is, or you want to use this plugin on top of it. So that's my intro.
Awesome. So, and then great intro. Thanks a lot. Redux Toolkit, definitely check it out. I heard a lot about it. I never used it myself, but I heard a lot of people being interesting in what it adds for the Redux. Redux ecosystem. Oh, my guest is going. Now I have to do it myself.
No, just turn on the fan.
I would not be able to fake this till I make it. So then today, what's the recipe? I'm going to share the screen so we can take a look at it. But we have here a new Angular 12 app with strict mode disabled and minimal. That means you get even less testing, and even Angular 12 you already didn't get your E2E tests, but you also don't get unit tests here. So we don't have to feel bad that we don't test stuff. What's the deal? What are we going to do?
I mean, I guess what I have in mind right now is let's just implement a counter application, very simple counter application, like any other Redux tutorial. So a counter with the normal Ngrx way. So let's go ahead and do Ngrx store.
Yep. Comment was already waiting.
Yep. And this is going to add the Ngrx store. Is going to set up that store module for you.
By the way, this already the schematics already help a ton, right? By making it easier to set up. I personally really like the NX schematics for Ngrx store. They are super complete. And
really?
Very nice. Yeah, they give you a very nice set of things that you can just work directly with. So
awesome. All right. The next thing would be Ngrx effects. We're gonna have a little effect just to showcase an effect.
Right.
Oops.
Say yes here. Yep. And the last package is probably the DevTools.
The store DevTools, just to show the action type or the action name, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to add that one here, and then what is it? DevTools or store DevTools?
Store hyphen DevTools.
There we go. Add that one, and then I'm going to give a kick to my dev server because it looks like NG server is not happy installing deps, but this is also probably very common for a lot of people.
Yep. So I mean, if you want to show the app module real quick, is just add all of these modules in your app module, basically that. So that is schematics.
Schematics added store module, effects module, and the dev module here. And if I'm now gonna restart this server real quick, then right now it here says store not found. I'm gonna see if I can bump up the font a little bit. Yeah, there we go. No store found, and then after this thing is started and I refreshed, I should see it. So let's take a look. But yeah, this is pretty much the default setup. And normally what I generally do is do these 4 features for the store
Same
module.
Here. Yeah. Same here. Actually, we wish to give the forward here, and then we're going to have like a counter module. And then inside the counter module, we're going to do store feature there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Now with the new Ngrx-Slice solution, this all stays the same? It's
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
drop in.
Right. Yep, just drop in.
Awesome.
I mean, maybe there's some modifications, but it should be minimal.
Okay.
We're in the process of actually migrating over to using Slice in a production app. So
Okay, at work.
at work, yeah.
Nice.
So,
Okay, so
in terms of long-term support, you're gonna get long-term support.
awesome. I think I remember somebody in the Angular Discord asking you about it. Like, hey, what's support
Yes.
going to be of this thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we got our app running. We installed the things, and let's go ahead and build out something.
Yep. So yeah, let's start with creating generating a counter module. It doesn't have to be a route; it's just a module.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to use the generators here.
Yeah.
And call it counter.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. Okay, so this one created here, and this counter module. What's next? What's next? What's the next?
Yep. So let's create a component.
Generate it as well.
Yep. And let's do a flag export.
Okay. I'll do that manually.
So, yeah.
Export counter component. There we go. Don't have prettier, but let's for now.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Right. Next is, I guess, now let's start with the Ngrx stuff. Or actually, let's just render this component right now.
Yeah. So instead of getting all this stuff here, I just added Bootstrap for sake of it. And we're going to import this module, and this should show counter works. There we go. Counter works.
Yep. All right.
There we are. Cool. So we
right
can
now. Yeah. All right. So now, Bram, normally, how do you start with a Ngrx? Like actions, reducer, selectors. What are you going to start with?
So normally I'm using an X, and I would use the at narwhal state. I think it's called the what is it? Angular narwhal and Angular Ngrx. I would generate one of these.
Okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't really know, and I would take
what does
a working example.
What does this generate?
It generates a folder with a reducer with an class for your effects, for your actions, and it creates your actions and your selectors. So it creates the four things, I think.
Yep.
Reducer, which is your state, the an action, a selector, and a class for your effects.
All right. So now let's go ahead and start with that. In the counter folder, let's have a store folder.
Okay.
And we're going to start with action. So let's do counter action TS.
Counter action TS. And
let's start with two actions, which is increment and decrement. So
this is what I know, and this is what is a great update from the previous versions. They have this generator methods right now, and they gave you strong typing without having to write the whole classes out that you had to do before.
Yep. So the type here, let's use the square bracket and put the counter inside the square bracket and call this increment. And we're going to do the same thing for decrement.
Okay. So I can just be lazy and do it like this. So we have two actions.
Yep. Now.
Brandon's like, gotta get paid in lines of code. Keep going. Yeah. Let's add some comments here and there. Okay, cool. So these are actions, and you always, when you build these things, you reason about the actions that you're gonna do. That right?
Yep. So now the next thing would be the reducer. So let's go with the reducer.
Okay. So I would say counter.reducer.ts.
Yep. in here, let's just export an interface of the counter state.
Counter state. Yep.
I would have a value of type number.
Value of type number.
And I would also have, let's just for show, let's just have increment count and decrement count. So this is just to keep track of the time that you click the increment and then you click the decrement, basically that.
Okay, very cool. I'm actually going to sort it on alphabetical order because otherwise
awesome.
it's crazy.
Yep. Yeah. Now let's export a inertial state.
Okay, export, and that's going to be a const initial state of this.
Oh, ship. By the way, yeah, of that ship, and everything will start out as 0. And by the way, I usually export inertial state because in like production application or in application where you have testing, you might use this initial state in your test.
Right.
So I usually export this, but you don't have to.
You don't have to. Okay, great point.
All right, next thing is the reducer. So we're gonna export a reducer. You can call it reducer whatever you want.
Okay, and this has a helper method, if I'm correct.
Yep, and the first argument is the initial state.
Okay, and do we need to pass a generic of the state, or is that?
No, you don't. You don't have to. It infers.
Nice, great.
All right, so I think the next argument is like a rest argument that you can pass in a case reducer. So it's gonna be like, oh, no, not that. It's just a bunch of on method. So
yeah, on.
Yep, on, and we're gonna need that action. So the increment or decrement, yeah, and then a function that returns a new state, like the reducer function, with the current state and return a new state.
Oh, it takes state, and any convention that you use for this?
It's just state, and then you spread the current state, and then you update the count, right?
Yeah. Okay. So we just spread the current state, and we say.
And the value will be decremented, and it's going to be -1, right? This is decrement.
Yeah.
And the decrement count will be increased.
Yeah, so we're going to say decrement count is going to be state decrement count. Is okay.
And +1. Decrement count will be +1.
Totally
we
right.
increment the count of that. And we're going to do the same thing for increment.
Okay, I'm going to quickly write this down. Yes, I will be enabling Prettier very soon, but let's.
Yeah, that's my default now. When I start a new project, npm install Prettier. All right, so that's your reducer, I think, and I think we are ready to. Oh, actually, we need the selectors as well. Never mind.
1 second, please. I'm gonna add my whole bunch of. Okay, this should be good enough. Reformat the Prettier. It's formatting. Okay, cool. So we got our reducer. It takes the initial state, and then we have 2 actions defined here: the decrement and the increment. And this should be +1.
Yep.
Right here.
Yep.
Awesome. Now with this reducer.
Yeah. Now the next step would be to have our selectors.
Okay.
So it's going to be counter selectors.
Counter selectors TS.
Yep. The first one would be just export const select counter. And this is going to be create feature selector. Right. And the key will be counter.
Okay.
Yep. And now we have 3 state in our interface, right? 3 properties. So we're going to have 3 selectors. So let's do that. So it's going to be export con select value or select counter value.
This is going to
be
create selector.
Yep. And we're gonna pass in the feature selector, right, and
Counter.
a projector function.
Yeah, and here we take the value. I was
I think we need to pass in the generic for grade feature selector, which is the counter state.
There we go. Okay, and now it does recognize it. There we are. Okay, so this is create value, and actually gonna do the create decrement here.
Yep.
Select counter decrement, and the increment. This one and get the increment here. Perfect.
Yeah. Right now we have enough things from Ngrx to work out a counter component.
Awesome.
So let's go to counter module.
Yep.
And import store module for feature.
Store module, but for feature, and this takes an array.
No, it's gonna take an object with the name, I think. Or I totally forgot the syntax of for feature, so let's just take a look at that. This looks like a string.
Isn't it?
Yeah, a counter and then the reducer. Yeah.
And then just a reducer right away.
I think so. Yep.
And now, if we all did this well, I think we should see our
counter state. Yeah.
Counter state here. Let's go state. There you go. State counter, and everything is.
There we go.
Okay.
Cool. Sweet. Now
Awesome.
Let's start working on the counter component.
Let's work on the counter component. Here we are. So what we do here is private read-only store.
Yep.
Get the store in here. So that's always a given.
Yep. And we have 3 selectors, so we're gonna have 3 streams, one for each selector.
So this is going to be this.store.select, and we're going to take in the select counter value right here.
Yep.
And it's going to be observable, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is
only going to be 20 minutes.
We're 20 minutes in already. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Hard stop at 1 hour and 40 minutes, so I'm totally fine. Okay, cool.
Right, so now we have this. So let's work on a template. Let's just have 2 buttons, like increment and decrement.
Button secondary, give a plus here and a minus here, and we're gonna say this is gonna be the decrement.
No. Yeah, right. That's true. That's right. Sorry, I forgot because I usually have the minus before. I put value in between these buttons.
Oh, I totally love that. And this is going to be the value with just the async pipe, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're going to say decrement here, create this method, and let's just create the other ones. So I'm done with the template.
Hold on, let me show you another shortcut. Command-Shift backspace.
Right here?
Yeah, so as soon as you create method, right, your cursor is going to go down to that method on line 27. Do Command-Shift backspace.
Oh,
it will go back up there.
Oh.
So that's will be go back to the last edited position.
Oh, it works through files. And how can we also move forward?
I don't know.
Okay, nice. Love it. Okay, but this will already great. So cool. And then this is to wire it all up. We can go into the store and dispatch the action here, and that's gonna be our decrement right here, which doesn't take any argument, so it's just an empty function.
That is true.
And here is decrement. I mean, I did quite a bunch of Ngrx in my time.
Nice.
And let's make it even a little bit more fancy and take advantage of the fact that we have this decrement counter, and then we're going to just add this decrement counter.
Absolutely, yeah.
Button.
Yeah, let's do that too.
Increment. And this, when all goes well, we should be able to have a working button. Minus, yes, plus, plus, plus. Okay, this all works as expected, works as a charm. I'm gonna quickly add this span, and I'm gonna do deflex line items center, because I think that will make it all a little bit prettier, easier on the eyes. There we go.
Maybe some gap if Bootstrap has some gap.
Nope, but we can do an MX2. And
Yep,
actually,
let's do that.
if you're really, yeah, there we go. And some margin top here, and probably also just by center. Yeah, but we're not here to style the whole bunch, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Counter example done in only 27 minutes, but with explanation and
Yep,
how
absolutely.
you're. I
Now let's.
think Caleb is your coworker. Chau the shortcut king.
He is.
Yeah, awesome.
He is. And by the way, now let's add something else. Let's add something else just to show. So now we have increment and we have decrement. Let's add an action called multiply by.
Okay. So with the idea, let's go here. Create first the action, right?
Yep. Let's create the multiply by.
One thing I've learned is if you're going to rename these actions, because inevitably you're going to copy paste, do this multi-edit thing where you select both instances, so you at least don't end up with an action with the same name. Multiply by.
So by the name, you already know that it's going to add. It's going to have a argument. So let's just use that props function. So props.
Props here.
It's going to be an object. With the key is a multiplier.
We need to do this here, or do we do this in the
we provide a type. We provide a type.
Yeah, generic, right?
Yep. So multiplier. It is a type number.
Multiplier of type number. Did I write as well? No, I did not write as well. This is
right. And so this is going to be an async action. So we're going to need a multiply by success, right? Multiply by success action. So
right. Okay. Again, here do my multiply by success.
Yep. Great. And for the props, is going to be a value. So the idea is we're going to dispatch multiply by. We pass in the multiplier, and then in the effect, we're going to multiply by the latest value, and we use that multiplied result and call the multiply by success action.
Awesome. Yeah, makes sense. And that could be like as if you were doing calculation in your web worker or something like that.
Yeah.
If it was
basically
like a heavy calculation.
Yeah. Basically, like you're gonna have like an API call, and then you modify the stuff inside of your effects, and you pass the result to the reducer. So now let's go to the reducer and handle the success case.
Okay, handle the success case. So we're gonna say multiply by success.
Yep, it's gonna take in the value.
Yep.
There
we go.
And we just assign that value to the value.
Perfect. Great. We don't need to do any increment counts. Awesome.
And we can also do the shorthand there for the value on line 30.
Of course. Yes, totally. Yep.
All right, now let's create an effect.
Okay. Effects or one we didn't have yet, so I'm gonna go in here and say counter.effects.ts.
Yep. So do you remember effects syntax? It is a service basically.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna say make it injectable, even if we don't inject stuff.
We're gonna inject the actions.
Right.
From inject effects, and we also inject the store, so we can get the latest value.
Okay.
Right now, let's just have a multiply by effect.
These generally are prefixed with a $sign, if I'm right.
I just call that's true. That is convention. It's going to be great effect.
Create effects.
Oh, yeah, create effect. Yeah.
But create effects.
Yeah, just
singular.
effect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a function. It's going to be a function, an arrow function that returns a stream that start with your action stream. So it's a function, arrow function, this dot actions.
Actions dots.
Pipe.
And then pipe. Yeah.
Yep. Then
I
of
guess
type.
This is the downside of me not really understanding what I do often, but then just copy and pasting whatever I did. I mean, I'm not sad about it, but it's just one of the things I realized. That's what happened. Of type. Yep. So we're filtering basically our actions, and then the actions of this type.
Yep. Right. Now we're going to grab the latest value from the store. Let's just use the concat latest from, like the new operator.
Interesting. Fancy.
It is going to be a function that returns that observable value. So store or select. And we're going to select the value.
So that is select counter value right here. Quickly. Yep. Okay. Awesome.
And let's switch map. Let's do a switch map. I think that can be a concat map, but let's just do a switch map. We're going to switch map, and we're going to use a timer to simulate an asynchronous. Let's just do one seconds. Yeah.
Yep.
And for the timer, we're going to pipe into the timer with the map.
Map. Okay.
Yep, and this just going to return the multiply by success action.
Right. Okay, and we need a value here.
And we're going to need the... so the switch map on line 17 is going to give you the... it's going to be an array, right? Because with the latest form. And the first one is your multiply by action payload.
Yeah. So this
it's going to...
This is basically my multiplier, the one that has multiplier.
Yep, that is correct.
And
then you have that will be the counter value. Yeah. Oh, I would just say current value. Yeah. Then value dot time multiplier.
Current value. And then here inside value is time. Right.
It's going to be times, right? Times the multiplier instead of plus. And it's going to be in the multiplier.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And now let's use this effect. So go to counter module.
Yeah. So let's register the effect, right?
Yep. With the effects module.
Effects module dot for feature, and this.
It's going to be an array. Yeah, sure.
And then that's
counter effect.
Counter effects, just a class as is.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's start with let's work on the multiply by bunt.
So what did you have in mind? Going to alert a multiplier, or
so what
value of the multiplier?
What I do is to basically let me pass in again align random. So I'm gonna just return that. So let's have a property in this class called last multiplier.
Last multiplier.
Yeah. And it's gonna be equals to that random thing that I just pasted in the private chat.
Yes. Let me grab that one here. So last multiplier is going to be this value, but let's make a method.
Let's do 10 minus 2 plus 1. Let's do 9 plus 1. Like no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a method. Just do that. So right there, just 9.
9.
All right, and then that would be 1. That would be 1. For 9 minus 1, just make that 9. Yep,
Okay.
just like that. So that's going to give you
1
10.
right now. 9. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we have the random value right here.
Yep. Right. So let's make a button.
Okay, and let's make another button. Yes, grab the button and call it multiply, I guess.
Yeah, multiply by, and then we're going to render that last multiplier on the button.
Love it. Multiply by this one. Great.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the method here is going to be multiply.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm going to create a method here. I'm going to say this dot store dot dispatch multiplied by, and as an action we take this dot last multiplier.
It's going to be it's going to take in an object with the multiplier. And before and after we dispatch, we're going to make a new random. So let's just do that again. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep.
All right. Now let's see if it works.
Multiply by 7, multiply by 6, multiply by 9. It does work, but it doesn't update our...
Because we add 0. Like anything times 0 is 0.
Yeah.
So let's just plus a few times. Let's just plus a few times and multiply.
There we go. Yes. Yes. I think initial state could be 1.
Yeah, let's just have at 1 then.
Where's the counter state here? Initial value 1, and that should make it all a bit more logical. There we go. Okay, great. We have a multiplier, which is an async action, which does this classical dispatch an action, run an effect, dispatch another action to handle the effect, and save it actually to the store.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Right now, see how many code to have this counter, right? Yeah. And it's pretty standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, let's
getting started. Yeah. So let's for shits and giggles do a commit right here and say implement counter using Ngrx. Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Right now, let's install Ngrx-Slice.
Okay. Cool. Yarn add just Ngrx-Slice like this.
Slice. Yeah, that's just like that.
Great.
Yep. Now inside of that store directory, let's create a counter.slice.ts.
Slice.ts.
Yep. And awesome. I would copy the counter state and the initial state over here.
Okay, that's coming from the reducer. So copying these over right here.
Yep. And now let's write export const open object, open curly brace, and call create slice.
Create slice. And I'm going to real quickly restart my dev server here because it's...
Yep. So
create
slice takes in an object. And this object will have a name. So this name will be used to pass into the store module feature. So we can call it counter. And then it takes in the initial state. And it takes in the reducers object. And these three, it is an object. So these three are the three required arguments of create slice. You need a name, you need the initial state, and you need the reducers object. And let's go to so we have two actions, increment and decrement. And we have a multiply by, which is an async action with a trigger which is just the multiply by action and the success.
Right.
So let's just build the reducers. So inside the reducers, let's have a increment, which is a property or increment. And it is going to be a reducer function. So it just takes in the state, and you don't return a new state. Create slice using immer under the hood, so you can just update the state.
Okay, cool. So we can just take a method body here, function body,
and do state.value plus plus. And you can see that you have IntelliSense there as well.
Yeah. So let's
we're going to do the same thing.
For decrement.
By the way, we need to increment the count, of course, of the increment and the decrement as well.
So this will be decrement count, and with decrement we're actually going to go minus, and this is state of increment count, and we're going to up this and up the value.
Yep. Right. And now for the multiply by will be an object.
Multiply by, and why is that going to be an object?
So for reducers can take in a type value case reducer, which is a function, or it can take in an async case reducers. So async case reducer is an object with 3 property: trigger, success, or failure. And each of these is a case reducer, whereas the success is a required. So this is the opinionated point that I want to point out, because when you have an async action, you almost always handle the success case.
Yeah, at least.
So let's just have the success case. It's going to be a case reducer function. So it's going to be a state, right? The state with the action function. And now there's no way to actually infer the type of this action, because the action is going to be generated for you. So for the action, we're going to have to manually type this with the payload action. There's a payload action type from the library.
Okay, so this is payload action type.
Yep, and this is the exact same generic as you would pass in the props function. So it's going to be the multiplier.
And is this?
Oh, actually, this is the value. Sorry, this is the value number.
The results, yeah.
Yep, and we're going to use that value to update the state. That value.
So this is going to be state.value equals state.value times
equals action.value. This is exactly like the reducer that we handle in the reducer. Yep. Right, now for the trigger, now we have the success action. We don't have the trigger yet, so we're going to use the trigger. And the trigger, again, trigger is just a trigger to the side effect, which means we don't really need to handle it in the reducer. There's nothing to handle. And for that, the library provides you a typed noop reducer function. So instead of like writing your state function your own, let's do typed noop reducer.
Awesome.
Right. And then you provide a generic for it.
Okay.
And first thing is going to be the counter state. And the second generic will be the type of this action. So it's going to be multiplier number. And that's it. That's all you need. Now, on line 15, we're going to export some const. So the first const is actions. And let's rename this with counter actions. And the same thing with selectors. Let's do that. And let's spread those two. Let's do ... counter feature. And that's it. Now let's that's it. Now let's go to the counter module. Instead of on line 14, remove the counter as well. and we can pass in counter feature.
Just as a whole counter feature. Okay.
Yep. And that's it. Now let's just go back to the component, and we're gonna switch out the actions and the selectors. Sorry.
So the actions, this is going to be the counter actions.
Yep. Dot.
Increment. And it's a method, still stays a method,
Yep.
of course.
So you can see that everything is type set. It's generated and it's typed. So multiply by, again, this is a little bit different. So multiply by is an object. So you're going to have multiply by dot trigger.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And this specific the trigger success and failure part is something that you added in Ngrx-Slice, or is this something
Yeah.
you read up?
I added to Ngrx-Slice.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Makes total sense.
All right. So now let's switch out the selectors as well.
Counter selectors dot.
You can see that it has all of those typed for you. So
yeah. And quickly update these. Then select increment count. Okay, I think I wasn't consistent with the name. Select value. There we go.
All right, now the last thing we need to update will be our effect.
Mm-hmm.
Let's change the action in the selector.
Which one? This one right here, right?
Yep, that's going to be the trigger.
Counter actions dot multiply by dot trigger. Then here we're going to do counter selectors dot select value.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
No, on line 21 as well. We're going to return a success, the success action.
Actions dot multiply by success. Yeah, we don't have success here.
Multiply by dot success.
Of course. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah.
Yep. Now you can remove the other files.
Okay, so let's see if it works first.
Yeah.
I highly doubt myself. Not so much you, but multiply by 3, multiply by 5. There you go. Awesome. Okay, so this works. And so now I think we can already see if we open the selectors. So these ones should all be grayed out. We should no longer have any reference to these ones. Now they're imported here. Okay, let's get rid of the imports. So this is grayed out. This is grayed out. This is grayed out. So we no longer need it. This is grayed out. This is grayed out. Okay, selector can be gone. Lovely. And the reducer, I got it. The reducer is all grayed out as well. So let's get rid of that, which gets rid of this. Get rid of this. So yeah, we can also cleanly get rid of that one. Then the actions can be gone. And hey, look at this. We don't no longer need to add manual action names. This is, I think if anything is like an initial big win for me, this would be not having to worry about these names being unique.
Yep, and after you remove this action file, let's go back to the slides and we can analyze how it gets that action.
Yeah, so, okay, but we still have the effects as normal.
We still have the effect.
Yeah, this is basically also, if the way I can see it, the way I like to see it, it's basically also your link into the whole Angular ecosystem where you do like injectables and you get access to your HTTP module or whatever service you have. Then, okay, this is now all nice and colored. Tell me, how does this work?
Right, so the actions are generated from your reducers. So here you can see that reducers decrement doesn't. So this is what I call a case reducer, right? So every case reducer is going to have an action generated. So here we're going to have a decrement property or a case reducer. This combined with the name of the slice will give you that action type.
Then it will take the name of the reducer.
Yep. Yep, the name of the slice with the property key.
Right.
With that case reducer key, and it gives you the action type. And you can modify this as well. There's a there's an optional option called slice feature. I forgot the function name, but if you put a cursor right next to initial state and do control space. No, actually, right after that comma, that slice action name getter. So you can modify this. It just takes the feature name, the action name, and you return a new string. So basically that. So you can change whatever you want.
Interesting. Okay, so we could do a this one, and what you say, action name and feature name.
Oh, feature name goes first. Feature name is the first argument.
And then what you basically do something like, I guess, feature action, something like this.
That's the default.
Right.
This is the default. So you might want to add like add whatever or bman whatever you want.
I always like to add a B emoji. I'm not sure why, but this is kind of a. There you go. Awesome. I finally see the bees everywhere. Yeah.
Right. So
this is pretty nice stuff.
And yep. So the actions are generated from the reducers. Same thing with the multiply by, right? Multiply by dot success, multiply by dot trigger. So those are generated for you. Now about the selectors, selectors are generated from your inertial state.
Right.
So if you look at the selectors, if you like scroll down to the bottom, just type counter selectors dot.
Yeah, counter selectors dot. So
this is the feature of the TypeScript 4.1, and this is actually inspired by Marco, who just submitted a PR about for a create feature in Ngrx platform. So that create feature in Ngrx generates the selectors for you. Then I take that and I add the actions generator as well. So it's going to generate the actions alongside with the selectors with the Ngrx-Slice. So here you can see that it appends select in front of the key of your initial state, and that key is capitalized. And that select counter state, that is the feature state, right? Yeah. Create feature selector, and then whatever you have inside of your initial state will be generated.
So I could still do something like this, create my own selector, and pass in this feature state, and then go ahead and do weird stuff here. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, because I was already thinking like we could do something like s.value times 10 or something.
Yeah, you can totally do that.
Awesome.
And yeah, that is selected. Yep.
That's just for the sake of the thing, because then this one won't live here, and it would be my select right here, and I do my select right here, and select right here, and this should give a 10-fold of whatever is there. There you go, 10-fold plus 3. There we go. Awesome, man.
Yep, and that's one last thing that I want to point out with the slice. So can you go back to the slice file? So here are the reducers that this slice will have. Basically, the actions of this slice that can modify the state of the slice. What if you have external actions that you want to handle? Like external actions that you want to change the state, but it's not managed by this slice. So to do that, we have an extra reducers optional key.
Right. Saw that one here.
Yep, that is an array, and now this array you can pass in a bunch of on function, and for this on function to work, you're gonna have to type to manually provide a generic yourself. So the first one will be the actions, like some external actions. So this way you can still manage the state of this counter state. Just do this. Inside of this file, let's have an action called double. Let's just call an action called double.
create action double. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And we're gonna do on, and we provide we will provide a generic for the on. Will be a counter state, and the second argument will be an array. Inside of that array will be type of double.
Interesting.
Now for the reducer, you can have the state and you can double that state value.
So we only need state.
And by the way, this is a regular on, so you have to do that. You have to like return a new state. If you're using Ngrx immer, I mean, basically I'm using Ngrx immer, so you can have like immer on instead of just on.
Right. Immer on.
But yeah,
right.
immer on. So now let's have the double action, and you will see the double will not be generated because it is external.
Sure. So let's add a button. Call it double.
Yeah, call it double.
And that's gonna be double. If only I could type, that would be awesome. Okay, right here, create a method, and then we're gonna say this.store.dispatch double, which is a method, and there we go.
That's
now,
that's it.
And now we can see, so value is 1, and double would be 2, and this would go to 20. Multiply by 4 would be 8 and 80. Awesome, dude. I'm again impressed. This is looking great, and yeah, curious to see what is how you're gonna like this in production. I think that's always gonna maybe show a few edge cases of things that might not be very much in line, but
yeah, definitely. So I see a question from Iris.
So one of the things that's already Brandon says that the feature should be shipping tomorrow. I guess that's about the open PR that was
the create feature. Yep,
great feature. That's super nice. And then from Raris, what about the trigger? Besides the type noob reducer, can you set your own reducer? Does it have the same footprint? So let's get this out of the way. So that's going to be this one.
So yes, absolutely. I mean, it is a case reducer, so you can just have your own reducer. If this trigger is gonna set up, it's gonna change some state, basically loading state. That's the most common state to update with the triggers actions. In addition to type noob reducer, there's also a noob reducer, which is just a trigger without any type, without any action payload. So it's just a noob reducer.
Yeah. Awesome. So one thing I was kind of meh about, like, was that I didn't have typing here, but I get, like, you're actually creating stuff here. You're not inferring some existing thing. Like,
yeah, because so first is the payload action. So now the action is generated. There's really no way for the success to say, hey, use this type of the action. The second thing is the counter state. So I run into some typing issue that if without a counter state there, the typing is not inferred correctly. So that is something to enhance for the library. But as of this moment, you can provide the generics.
Awesome. I'm going to call this one 10x because that's a better name for this selector. And cool, man. I really like to see this. It's a great thing. And so the interesting thing is, as you and other people know, I basically switched everything back to a component store because of simplicity. It's just easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This kind of makes me, like, if I were in an app that used Ngrx, I might actually consider this, because what I can see is that, let's go back to the file tree. We used to get rid of our reducers file. We used to get rid of our actions being standalone entities. We got rid of the fact that you have to uniquely name these things, and we got rid of our selectors being manually defined for all default operations. So that's quite a lot of stuff we get for free. There's another questions from Rares. Okay, now what about effects? Do you do magic there as well?
There's no magic there. I mean, side effects is again outside of the slides, right? There's really no way for me to handle the effect. I mean, I can, but let's say it's for a future feature.
Feature. Rares, feel free to submit a pull request that enhances it.
Yeah, because so the effect or Saga really in like React or in non-DI or non-dependency injection framework would be probably simpler. So right now we have dependency injection and stuff like that, so kind of hard to generate and do magic here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I guess in the end, I'm gonna just pull this one up. I guess we managed to do it, Chau. Short little adventure.
It's 1 hour. And by the way, can you show the GitHub repo and also the documentations site?
Yeah, for sure. So this is gonna be Ngrx Slice. So this is going to be repo, and actually using the reason we don't see it in the autocomplete is because I use another browser for live streams.
Yeah.
So the repo is here in the screen, and this is going to be the repo.
And the documentations is there as well. And if you want to scroll to the bottom of the documentations, there's a couple of special mentions, basically, that I want to shout out to people.
Totally.
So I want to shout out to Marco for that PR, or the Ngrx Chau selectors. Basically, is the whole copy and paste to get that selectors going with Ngrx-Slice. Shout out to Team for Ngrx-Immer, and of course, shout out to Mark Erickson for his work on Redux Toolkit.
Right. So. Awesome. Yeah, Chau, awesome. You did a great job. I thought you weren't going to have a lot of time for side projects, but in the meanwhile, you launched like this one, you launched Angular 3, you launched a rework of your app.
So just hold on. Just disclaimer. Ngrx-Slice was born an hour after that PR was on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's like a couple of hours project, POC, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess if you build on great things like Ngrx-Immer, which you know is like decent, works, has Tim behind it, I guess that says a lot. If you work on top of Redux Toolkit and then on Ngrx, which is super well maintained by itself.
I mean, I mean, it's just these are just use create action under the hood, create reducer under the hood, and create selector under the hood. Basically that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other things to shout out? Anything else we should look at?
I think that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome.
That's just flexing. Cool. That's me.
Yeah, that's just flexing. Yeah, it is. It's a short 1 hour project. I mean, it cost me 1 hour to figure out how it works. You all saw it, but
it takes a lot longer to put together like a library and to publish the library, and then this documentation site. This doc site takes me a whole weekend.
Yeah. No, I guess that's also a special habit. And I guess we all know Sindre Sorhus, one of the main package publishers in the Node ecosystem. And one of the things I read about him, he said, I just got really fast at publishing libraries. And he gets criticized for like publishing a one function as a library. But if you do it well and it's tested and it's well published and documented, that's the feat by itself, man.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. And Caleb, your coworker, says it's just a weekend hack. Yeah, it's no big deal. Yeah, Chau. I think within we're in starting in June, probably before August, I'll be here with Chau in another library. Or so I'm curious what it's gonna be. Awesome. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks so much. And thanks, everybody, for watching, for the interaction and the questions. I'm going to be putting up this in my GitHub/bman BLS040. And I guess I'll see you all at the next one. Bye-bye.
See you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.